All right, it's 6:32. We'll call a meeting to order, the September 2025 budget hearing. And Dr. Lewis, I will turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for coming in early for our budget hearing. What we do first during this is we review the budget publication. That was in the newspaper a week and a half ago or so. If you look at the document in front of you, there's 3 columns that we kind of talk about. The first 3, the actual disbursements from 2 years ago, the estimated disbursements from last year, and then the budgeted disbursements that will be part of the budget this year. So as you kind of go down the columns, if you go to the totals at the bottom, you see in 23-24 we budgeted, we actually spent, $12,831,297, excuse me, in all of our funds across that entire year. That's where we were. Last year, these actual estimated disbursements and transfers, in the sub funds, we were pretty much done spending by the time we had the budget season rolled. So like activities, nutrition, bond, and those, most of the expenses had come out of those already. However, in general fund, when we start building the budget, we're actually still spending the previous year's budget because I'm building the budget for 25-26 in June, July, August, and we're still spending money. So that one is the actual figure in general funds there in column 2, what we budgeted for. It's probably going to come in just under that slightly. We've been trending at spending about 92-93% of our budget. So that bottom figure right now, that $14,083,033.25, it's probably going to be lower when we get our audit done, just because we don't always spend every penny of what we budget for every year. So I suspect that's going to come in of a number with a 13 in front of it instead of a 14 in front of it. But as we're building the budget, you just put in what you budgeted to spend because it's just too complicated to try and guess at that point in time. And then budgeted for the 25-26 school year, which, yes, has already begun, is in general funds $12,250,504. That is taking full advantage of our budget authority. In depreciation, that is $1,153,078. That includes the cash that we have in the bank for depreciation and the CD that we have for depreciation, which right now is worth about $281,000. And remember again that we budget to spend everything out of those sub funds. It doesn't mean we're going to spend every penny of that, but we build that budget so that that because you could potentially expend all of that in a year. So that's how you build that part of the budget. In activities, $486,412. In school nutrition, $384,306. In bond, $565,587.50. And then in special building fund, which contains our last lease purchase payment, $1,534,980. Now that doesn't reflect necessarily every penny that's in there right now. It would reflect a levy that we'll talk about in the next hearing as well. So that's not what we have in the bank right now. That's what we would have in the bank at the end of the year if we spent, that's how much we would spend if we spent every penny that we have in there and what we're asking for in taxes. And then QCPA for the qualified capital purpose undertaking, $92,498.75. That's the remaining balance after we paid off the QCPA bond. We made that last payment in March. So some of that we'll make the final payment on our cameras, which they just completed installation of. And then we have some potential other uses for that in the coming year. But again, now that we can use that for school safety projects, that is valuable to us. And we're not adding any levy to that. That's just what was in there. So our total budget of expenditures for the 25-26 year as presented is $16,467,366.25. Of those total numbers, there's some necessary cash reserve. We just include that as a number when it's available in the budget. So necessary cash reserve can't exceed more than for a district our size, 35% of our operating budget. We're under that in our necessary cash reserve. For the general fund, that is a combination of that necessary cash reserve and what we have in depreciation. In activities, that's just the fluid funds to keep everything moving. That's about what we ended the year with and began the year with, about roughly that much every year. School nutrition, that's got a little bit lower this year because the state didn't give us as much as they had every other year, for however many years I can count in past history. And then in the bond fund, that's $894,009.50. Again, bond is building for future payments. The payments get a little bit bigger every year, and so you keep your necessary cash reserve and they're a little bit higher than the coming year's payment. So you always are going to have enough for the next year's payment because of the way taxes are collected. You have to have it in there before that tax collection year so you can get that payment. So anybody have any questions about any of those numbers? And finance committee has seen them a lot. I sent this to you in an email and then they were published as well. And then we had that budget committee meeting, like the budget workshop before the last meeting. So all of these numbers reflect all of those things that we talked about.
And that bond is around until
32, the last payment. Last payment will be made in 32 and it's a much smaller one. It's like 165,000. That last payment is. That's why I was thinking it was done a little bit earlier, but that last payment is just really small.
This worksheet isn't the most friendly to look at. The next one will be a little more straightforward, that dives more into the 2025-2026 budget that we're proposing along with the levy numbers. There's a lot of, I would say you're not comparing apples to apples so much on these columns, because you got to remember 2023, 2024, those are audited final numbers. 2024, 2025 has not been audited, and some of these line items have context to them, as we just discussed. Bond payment continues to go up each year. Special building QC puff, that is now coming off. Those payments are no more, they're going away. So there's context to a lot of these line items and a lot of these columns. So I would open it up to anybody that has any specific questions on this worksheet. The next one makes a lot more sense. That's the best way to say it.
just in general, since, as you said, it's not like a business or a home
Right.
budget. You're budgeting for 16,467. You said we might not use that. Where are the additional leftover? Are they just never really there? Are they on paper? Where do they go? Are they pushed over?
So most of it will carry over.
Okay,
Yes. So the next hearing that we have will explain where those taxes are and everything. Because we're not asking for that much in taxes. Clearly, we're only asking for about half of that in taxes, but the rest of it becomes carryover. Or you can, like we did, last year, we had budgeted $150,000 that we didn't spend in this fiscal year, but we moved it to depreciation, knowing that we're going to spend it on a bus and smart supplies and things like that the coming year. So it kind of carries over like that. In some funds, like when you're talking about the carryover in the special building fund, you're typically not building that up unless you are planning like to phase in some projects and things like that, which we always want to maintain our facilities. So levying what you can in there when it's able for you, when it's possible for you to levy is smart, because that will just carry over and then make whatever you need to do next, whether that's updates or whether that is a building project, just a little bit less expensive.
no, that makes sense. I was just curious of some of the mechanics.
Yeah, so, some of it just carries over. It doesn't carry over like in that budget line item, but the cash in the bank carries over to the next year. And then you can actually lower your levy the coming year if you want, because you would have more carryover, so you would need to ask for less.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. So if no one else on the board has any questions, then we would open this to public comment.
Okay, all right, we'll adjourn this meeting at 6:42 PM.
And then we can't start the next one until actually 5:45, so 3 minutes. While we've got 3 minutes, does anybody want coffee? I did not make any drink, but we could. Nope, I don't see any.
Good. Another month, maybe.
Maybe, you're right. We'll make hot tea, make some hot chocolate or whatever. Thank you, Erin, you were right on top of what I was just gonna ask you to do next. Mhm. That's good.
Right.
Just sent a message.
Because
Right, the last one.
we don't do based on
What's a good way to describe how we budget school?
You budget to keep the ship afloat. You don't wanna make money.
I'm trying to think how to get it in, more technical terms. It's not zero-based budgeting,
Okay, good.
You budget
no,
with state.
cause
a
it's all
complete guess.
backwards too.
Well, that's what, I mean, baseline budgeting is such a joke. I mean,
Well,
that's why I
and
was hoping we weren't like.
It's all backwards
But
too,
it's
since you
not,
don't find out your property.
It's so different coming from like your own budget where you know, where you want some carryover in your, you really want to get this as close to zero as you can.
So when you say it's a cut, it's a cut. It's not a reduction in an increase in spend
Right,
year to year. So that's all I really want to make sure.
yeah, it's like we've gotta find something to not buy or someone's not paying or whatever, yeah, it's not like, yeah. Has anybody received a postcard in your mail? I don't know if any of our Washington County schools are going to be attending. I know where it's at. It's going to be in Blair Library. I think it's 26th. I just haven't gotten a card in the mail yet, so
No.
I didn't know if any of our schools were going to be. All right.
All right, it is 6:45 PM, so I'll call the September 8, 2025 special hearing to set final tax request to order. Agenda item 2 is the notice of special hearing to set final tax request. Dr. Lewis.
So the first thing that we notice on this document is our property valuations. So in 2024, 2025, our total property value was $934,950,332. For 25, 26, we experienced a 9% increase across all 3 of our counties. Washington County is about 90% of our value, and then Dodge and Douglas are each about 5% of our value. So this is the first time that we have bumped up into that $1 billion when we're talking about that. So our valuation this year is $1,020,020,501, and that represents a 9% increase in our property values. So then we come and look at our 24-25 budget information. So our property tax request last year was $8,076,604. So our tax rates to receive that amount of money last year was 0.863854 cents, or just about 86 and under a half a cent there. If we needed to ask for that exact same amount this year as we did last year, the tax rate would be 0.791808, so closer to 79 cents, based on this year's current valuation. In 2025, 2026, to fund the budget that we just looked at in the last hearing, we will need $6,947,852 in the general fund, $757,576 in the bond fund, $719,049 in the special building fund for a grand total of $8,424,477. And that will be a levy of 0.825913 cents. So about 82.5 cents. That's down about 4 cents from last year in our tax rate. So if you look all the way over to the far right columns, change in tax rate is down 4%. Change in operating budget is up 5%. And that is the column where it says 25-26 operating budget. That's what we're talking about. This does not include like depreciation and and activities and hot lunch and all those other funds. So this is the funds that we pay taxes to receive. So that is a total operating budget of $14,443,570.25. Again, we know that we're not going to spend every penny of that, especially like in the special building fund. We're probably going to spend about that in the bond fund because that's the payment and the rest is in reserves. We'll probably spend close to that in the general fund. But the special building fund is where out of these operating budgets, we probably will see the least amount spent of that actual budget, just because we know we got some projects coming up that are gonna cost some money, so. Chase, do you have anything to
Yeah,
add to that?
so you're comparing really, 4 line items from year to year, your general fund, your bond fund, special building fund, and QC puff. For this year, you can remove the QC puff, we're not levying into that, because we don't need to, and there's nothing to pay on that. The bond fund, obviously, that is an obligation the board meets, due to the voters on the decision they made many years ago. So we have to, that's an obligation we have to meet, no matter what. So those payments will continue to go up incrementally until the bond's paid off. So that's why you'll see that line item continue to go up. Special building fund, this is important to talk about here because this has been in the news here recently with another school district very close to us that's having budget problems. And they did not, for whatever reason, I think they're running into issues that they're gonna have to replace things and they won't have the funds to do so just because I would say they didn't prepare long-term decisions were made. So we, budget committee has met numerous times over this. We feel very comfortable where we're at with this budget. We are lowering the levy just under 4 cents and still preparing for long-term future building needs and upkeep should we need them. So that's why you see that increase on the special building fund. The general fund, you'll see a decrease. There's lots of contextual reasons for that. Dr. Lewis kind of went over a couple of those, but that general fund usually accounts for, Dr. Lewis, please correct me if I'm wrong here. We started this budget cycle many months ago, but it accounts for things, salaries, teacher things that we have to pay for. So those costs are obviously going up. No costs are staying the same. And obviously inflation, I would argue, is much higher than what is reported. I don't think anybody would probably dispute that here, what the real inflation number's been the past couple of years. So we feel, budget committee feels very comfortable with this. With what we're asking, we're preparing for the school district to have money, should they need it, to building upkeep and things like that. At the same time, being good stewards of tax dollars by lowering that levy just under 4 cents. But I'll open it up to, this is a good time. This is one of the most important votes anybody, a board member, will make when you're setting a levy and basically seeking taxpayer dollars. So any questions anybody has, Steve, especially your first run through this, now's a good time to ask those questions because these are very important money dollar votes we take.
Well, the walkthroughs we've been doing, that's exactly what that fund is for, correct?
Yes. And one thing I would say too about that general fund, when we're looking at that, like why we need less to fund that. One thing that the state did this year was they initiated that property tax credit that came directly to us and came off of your tax bills. They gave us that first installment in January, so they gave it to us before the taxes were actually due. So we got a little bit more in taxes than what we asked for last year, so that created a little bit more carryover for us. So that's a fair portion of that. And then the state has been to this point meeting their obligation to fund special education at 80%, so we've been getting that. That has given us some carryover. I mean, that's obligated and that's outside of the general fund, but those are still dollars that come in that increased our carryover just a little bit. So that budget did not, you can see we are not budgeting less in that area. And again, like Chase said, 80% of that is salaries and benefits and other salary related costs. And then the other 20% are just our general operating things. That budget has not gone down. It's gone up about 400,000 or just under that, 375,000. But we just need a little bit less in taxes to fund that because we have a little bit more carryover. We got a little bit more in taxes because of how the state distributed the tax credit to schools. And then the state's meeting their obligations with special education funding. So if any of those pieces change legislatively, or if the Nebraska, if the Education Future Fund depletes faster, then there'll be changes made. So it might not always look like, hey, we get to ask for less. I mean, the time will come when we'll have to ask for more again.
And a little comment on the carryover, Steve, since you brought it up. So Dr. Lewis had mentioned earlier that usually we end up about 92, 93% of the actual budget amount. Some people may ask me, why can't you get 100% dead on? That's much more difficult than you think it is because when you're budgeting in so many different line items, where some of it's reimbursable funds, some of it comes out of these lines we're looking at, these four: general, bond, special building, those things like that. It's almost impossible, I would argue, to budget and spend 100% of what you asked, because some of these numbers you don't know where they're going to come at. So I would argue the carryover helps us from year to year, so we can do what we're doing this year by almost lowering it by 4 cents. So it's just impossible, to get to that 100%. I would argue if you do it, it's probably a lot of dumb luck.
Well, and you would get, and actually, the closer you budget to the penny what your 100% expenditures are going to be, the more of a risk you run of going over that 100%, and you're not allowed to go over that 100%. So if you're looking at your budget and you're like, it's August 1st and we're at 99% of our budget, there is a high likelihood that you would have to amend the prior year's budget so you could actually spend what you need to spend. Because if you go over, that's what you have to do in the process is you have to amend the previous year's budget. So you could potentially be amending the budget in the same year you're trying to, or the same month that you're trying to adopt a new one, which would be really weird. So anyway, you always give yourself a bit of a cushion, like I don't think we're gonna spend this, but it's worst case scenario kind of thing. And we usually come in around that 92, 93. So.
We're not voting on anything, right? With this, we'll vote on this later during the meeting when we set the official levy. So you will still have more time for more questions if they come up or you digest it for reference.
And then we'll open the meeting to public comment.
Okay, we'll adjourn the special hearing at 6:56 p.m. And then we will start the normal September board meeting here in a couple minutes if anybody needs to go do a few things at all.
I assume that's just taking a normal, good conservative approach to budgeting. If you're hitting it within the rate of inflation, because you don't want to butt up against that, it's gonna cause way more problems.
Yeah, I think if you're 90 to 95%, that's like your target.
Yeah.
If you hit it, because I think that's good.
5% carryover.
98%, I would start getting a little worried.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Have we always been around the 80 cent mark?
No,
Or
we'll talk
was it
about that
way
now.
higher before?
What was that, 3-4 years ago, it was like 105.9.
Okay, I remember.
The foundation,
104.9 or something.
we're gonna talk about that at length here, when we go into the board meeting. So,
Yeah, sorry, I don't wanna talk. It's
It dropped
not being
fast.
recorded, and I'm out of
Well,
the
we are
open
being- we
business,
are,
the
so.
open business, part, I'm violating.
Funny. Oh, dang it. I was gonna, I think I told you I was bringing ice cream. I didn't. I'll do it tomorrow. Do I have to drive around and drop stuff off anyway?
Can I come in?
You certainly can. Just so you
You
know,
may enter.
the live stream
Yay.
is on, just so you know.
Scoot over here.
Don't say anything incriminating.
Mr. Payson?
5 Bs.
Why?
Be brief, brother, be brief.
Oh, not a problem.
Shout out to my friend Fred Black.
So they're playing in their tennis shoes. Because a lot of them don't have
Turf shoes.
turf shoes.
Mr. Shada?
The only good news about that is the infield is not. But wait, is
I
that
think it
true?
is. Yeah, no, I think it's all,
It's all
because they
it's
can't,
color.
yeah, because the pitching, she can't pitch in her,
All your reports.
she has a pitching pitch.
Well, that's
We're
good,
gonna go.
considering how much
Super
they do on
safe.
feet.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Super, super safe.
Boy,
She's doing so far, she's got 4 Ks.
what do you say?
Oh, wow.
Voice,
Yes.
They were a little concerned.
voice over internet protocol.
Zero, zero.
I knew that.
I know.
Are you watching the?
I was looking
I
at
knew
the
the
turf,
voice over internet. I didn't know protocol.
That's right.
all turf.
Where's that at?
What are you scheduling softball games on, all turf?
Right now, yeah.
Nobody builds without anymore, my friend.
Are you kidding me?
Did DC
On the
West
A
do the
school,
They
same?
don't use dirt?
I would say class A.
Name a school in the last couple of years and they've all
Oh
been for
my
everything.
gosh.
One would be in your conference school, DC West.
Mm.
Raymond Central,
I'm not gonna
or they do grass.
All their Raymond Central's new projects, turf,
Every
everything,
time I go in there.
softball, baseball, football field,
It
fields.
Why?
takes me back.
Takes you back.
We're just gonna keep.
Longer life.
That's
so funny.
Cost
We
savings.
feel good about ourselves.
I don't know if it's cost savings, but it has a lot.
I haven't built one, so.
Longer
I bet
life,
it's-
longer life, I'm gonna have to.
Let's start
I'm gonna have to
listening.
understand longer
Let's
life
not.
than dirt.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna have to understand that.
Mm-mm. Jason!
You can call and ask them. I don't know.
I don't care, but it's just like,
Rocket line it.
Yeah.
All weather.
Don't have to
that,
pay the
that,
lines.
that I can get around at least.
You don't have to pay the lines.
Well, I always think it's interesting that you watching NFL teams that want to get away from turf.
All comes back.
Always
It
interesting.
all comes
So you're
back.
telling me the softball fields, they don't even have like agri-lime when they're running?
Turf across the board.
Really?
Alright.
All right,
Alright.
Most Midwest colleges are that.
we are all here.
Like the smaller school, it's cheaper for them, long term.
All right, it is 7:00. We'll call the September 8th, 2025 regular Board of Education meeting to order. This meeting is being held in compliance with the Nebraska Open Meetings Act, copy which is on the wall right there. And with that, let's take roll.
Jason Art.
Here.
Cassie Flesner.
Here.
Jason Prattville.
Here.
Brian Marker.
Here.
Steve Slykeis.
Here.
Shannon Momar.
All right, everybody is here. We will do the pledge.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, agenda item 1.4 is approval of regular meeting agenda. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve. And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Steve and Jason. Any further discussion? Let's vote.
Kathy Flessner.
Yes.
Chase Gradville.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Steve Slyheis.
Yes.
Shannon Wilmarkis. Jason Art.
Yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 2, welcome guests in public forum. Before we turn it over to our invited guests for presentation, I will open it to the public. If anybody else would like to address the board this evening. Oh, no, you had us going there for a second.
I was like,
All right, Mr. Larson.
Good evening, everyone. We are gonna just, do you want me to stand up there?
you do it.
Whatever's comfortable, whatever you'd like to do.
No, I'm good. Okay, I don't know how much Dr. Lewis has informed you what's the situation is with our phone system. I don't know what exactly happened, if we got hit by lightning or had a card in the system go bad or something, but we no longer have voicemail. So we were already kind of in talks of looking for phone systems because it is right at 20 years old. It repaired it multiple times myself. So thank goodness we were kind of looking already. So we talked to a number of companies, and when Mr. Parson and I were at the NETA conference, we were able to get with several companies that are very qualified, come very well recommended. So we were able to get some quotes from them, and also from a local company with EECS here in town. Just going to be straight up on that one. Kind of what we found with EECS was they are not really capable of working with the stuff we already have, like our door access and bell and stuff like that. So we did get a quote from them, but not really going to be able to use their equipment here because it's just not
All of those things have to work
They
together.
have to work together.
And they're all integrated.
Yes.
When they don't.
So they said there's possibilities, but we couldn't get a number down or anything like that. So it was more, I just not feeling good about that one. So, but then we went ahead and got quotes from High Point and Hamilton.
So all three of them are attached to your board meeting, but you have the long paper copies of High Point and Hamilton in front of you right now.
Both High Point and Hamilton are very, I mean, it's almost exactly the same across the board from what they're presenting to us. Very good systems. They integrate with everything that we have.
These are site-based.
They are on premise. They aren't, the one with EECS was a cloud-based, and that's more of a monthly charge. This is, we can actually just buy it outright. And then Hamilton also gave us the option of a lease option there also.
So is that why the price differences are so different, Dan? On two of them, on High Point and Hamilton, we're paying it outright
That is correct.
versus EECS, you're paying a one-time fee and then paying monthly.
You're
to access
paying
their cloud
monthly for the
services.
whole cloud service. So yes, so that's exactly correct.
Okay, so
Well, and then the Hamilton, you'll see a couple of options on there too, like they give us the option to buy the whole thing outright, or to just pay for the installation outright and lease
Then lease the equipment.
equipment until
And
it's
then
paid for, and then you own that.
The third option was to lease
The whole thing,
whole thing.
which would be then like a monthly payment, but, so.
So just so we can get straight on EECS, you're looking at a one-time payment of $8,100 and then monthly $800, so you're talking $9,600 a year. So there, you're
And that's
almost
ongoing.
$18,000 for the first year,
Yes.
and then $9,600 a year
Thereafter.
thereafter.
That is correct.
And I'm assuming these phone systems last a decent amount of time. So over, even after 5 years, the EECS is more expensive than these two quotes.
Correct.
And it's not, doesn't integrate.
Correct. Now, I'm speaking for myself here. When you have issues come up, which you probably will with all the systems, I would assume.
Yes.
I see EECS trucks driving all around. I've never seen a Hamilton or a High Point truck. So I guess my question, you being the expert in this field, is troubleshooting issues, what's the customer service look like from these other two companies?
The other two companies, Hamilton's been around it's probably one of the oldest companies in Nebraska for phones and stuff.
Got it, okay.
So they've been around for a long, long time. They first started out more in central Nebraska and Panhandle. And then eventually they ended up buying a phone company themselves. So they have actually expanded and expanded and expanded. From the people I talked to, High Point, their service is also excellent. But I don't know, background wise, I don't know as much about that.
Got it.
I see the physical address of Grand Island and Aurora for Hamilton. Where's High Point? I don't see physical.
You know, I can't tell you that right off the top of my head. I'm not sure.
And
I believe it was Sioux City, if I remember right.
And High Point and Hamilton, so these, I'm assuming, go off of our server then?
No. We would purchase, the server is purchased through this agreement.
I'll rephrase, sorry. We're not paying for a cloud-based system like with
No,
Geeks. It would be on-site
it
here.
would be on site.
And you feel comfortable in your job managing these systems with Hamilton or High Point?
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And with either Hamilton or High Point, we would at some point in time, if we ever desired, be able to go to a cloud-based.
Yes, we can always go to a cloud-based, yes.
So Dan and I
The
had
other
a
things,
conversation about
yes,
that.
I should probably explain some of this other stuff too. Okay, so right now, we use the local company for our telephone company. And that's our long distance and our just regular phone bill, right?
Yep.
And so, the numbers that we have here for the school, that we've had forever,
Yep.
4171, are not portable. They will not, Fastfire will not let the numbers go. So, but you can still, within both Hamilton and.
Yep, I know where you're going with it. Yep.
We can use those numbers, but we still have to pay for those numbers. So.
What's the cost of us
Keeping.
keeping
Right.
the current?
Well, you still have to have a service provider. So you still have to either have FastWire or
Yep.
Allo or whoever it is.
Yep.
So right now we're about $50 a line.
How many lines do we have in school?
6.
What's up?
6.
Oh, just 6? Oh, okay.
And then with our total, aren't we usually around $450, something like that, total bill,
Okay.
I think. But then if we would go eventually if we didn't want to keep our numbers or we start publicizing a different number or whatever, it'd go down to like $17 per line.
We could transition out
Yes.
of that.
Of those.
And then you can, if everybody would want to, if you wanted to get away from this current provider and go to someone different, you can.
And the Hamilton bid, since they also own a phone company, they
They
can
were-
assist in providing that. We don't have to go out and
Correct.
find the numbers on our own if in the future we let go of the lines from Fastwire and those.
Got it.
That makes sense.
Of those 6, I don't know, I can guess a couple of them. But some of them are probably pretty important to the public, especially parents that memorize that number.
Very much
The
so.
high school office, the elementary office. Those are probably the 2 most important.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, we can take it down to just 2 or whatever, if you would.
Do you know what the 6 are, top of your head? No, I'm just curious.
It's probably fax line.
4171, 4173 is high school and district, fax line is 4176, elementary is 4121 and 4122. So is that all of them?
That was 5, so there's probably another.
There's-
There's another high school,
77.
there's another high school, 4172.
I can see some headaches, obviously, changing the phone lines.
Yeah.
Oh,
so-
boy,
For
yes.
parents,
Yes.
especially communicating.
But if you do, we were talking, maybe if you do a transition, it wouldn't, so if you went with try to keep a year or something like that, or 2 years, whatever.
I think you're gonna have to have heavy communication though.
Yes.
It's
But on these anymore, but do you think in these fax numbers, do you use them much for fax or what?
Quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we,
other things run through your fax lines too.
correct.
Your
Yeah.
fire system, different things
Oh,
like that
yeah.
will run through your fax line.
With the new providers, is there any way to pick our numbers? If we pick them?
Yes,
Because then if you're saying they have a hard
They
time,
can-
and these are all random numbers, you could make them something easier.
They-
Yeah.
Fastwire owns those particular numbers?
yes.
Well, okay. So, this is a dumb question, but since most of us don't use landlines anymore, I think it's fair to say. If you go to all new landline numbers, those are still be a 402-478 number, correct?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
You can,
So we don't have to get rid of them. We can-
Yeah, we know that.
But
No,
it's
if we
also-
do, I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah,
it
it
could
might
be,
not be.
they'll have pools of numbers that are
It could be a
available.
531 number since those are the new
It could be, yes.
Got it.
So it's there, it depends on what's available, is what it comes down to.
Okay.
I know there's a lot there.
Yeah, no, I think that's down the road though, discussion on the phone numbers, because I think you have to start that transition period at least a year in advance when you're doing something like that.
Agreed.
Because
Yes.
parents and everybody, that's a number they know, that's a number. So talking about just Hamilton and High Point, any other things from your professional opinion on these two that you want the board to know?
The only other thing Dawn and I were talking about today, I have had experience with the bias system myself.
That's-
I already know how it's programmed. And I had a lot of good luck with it prior. But like I said, I think both systems are good. I did put in, you saw my kind of scratch marks there at the bottom for pricing on that. That when we did the bid for Hamilton, it included the 5 PoE switches.
What's a PoE switch? Okay.
Power over Ethernet switch.
Okay.
So it all goes back to all our data closets. And so that way it's patch ported into your phone to the Ethernet switch.
Got it.
And so since it's a power over Ethernet, it powers the phone up. It
Got it.
turns it on.
Yep.
So, and that's what you have to have it. The deal is I already have multiple switches on order that are back ordered that we used our E-rate funding for.
Yep.
But we don't know when they're gonna show up. So I don't know if I can use that or if I can't use that, depending on how that shows up. But I wanted to make it apples to apples here. So I took away the 5 switches on the one to make it, you know that's how much that costs without the switches, because then they're both without switches.
Got it.
Okay.
So it could come to the fact we would have to spend
An additional.
$3,000, whatever, for switches. It's very possible. I don't know that yet.
But the ones that we have on back order.
But either one, if you have to get the High Point, either way, you're gonna have to buy the switches. anyway.
Well, depending if my other switches show up, if I have enough ports in my switches that I've ordered, then we might not even have to buy any.
Yeah.
Or you might have to buy one, or something. I can't answer that off the top of my head, but.
Are these for the same number of phones? Cause I see the
95 and
175.
Yeah, I don't know why you did that.
How many phones do we need?
We need right at 90.
Okay, so it'd be less than this number. Is that
It's gonna be right about 90. We didn't physically go to each phone in the whole building to verify, but right now we have 90 some extensions. So,
Yeah, because I'm sure everybody has been through phone inventory at some time in their job. Have you done an inventory? Because I understand how phone extensions work, and sometimes you find phone extensions that, hey, you're not really using this one.
exactly.
Have we done that?
No, we have not.
Okay.
I have a list of all the phone extensions we are using.
Okay.
So in a way, yes, it's done, but
Okay.
we haven't physically gone and, like I said, touched each one, verified.
gone into
extension.
like classrooms.
But if
okay,
you go,
we
if
need
we
this-
go by our phone list, yeah, it's gonna, each teacher has a phone.
Yep.
And it's gonna be on our list.
Yep.
So,
Okay, I would just,
but could there be a couple phones here and there that we don't even have on our list? Yeah, it's very possible.
I would just say before you, wherever the board decides here, before you order this, I think it'd be good to go
So
through
I
that.
totally agree.
Because if we only, I'm making this up, yeah, we don't.
Maybe you only need
We don't,
80,
we don't need more than 8,
maybe.
you know, and maybe we need 95, I don't know.
Mhm.
But I think it's just good to know that before you do this order, whatever it is.
I agree.
I think based upon the EECS conversation and the monthly cloud costs, do they only allow that cloud cost, or can you do?
They're brand new into the phone systems.
Okay.
So that was all that they had available.
Got it, okay. Okay. Got it, okay, because I think it doesn't, me as an individual board member, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to pay a recurring monthly cost when after 4 to 5 years, just off the top of my head, you're gonna start racking up more costs than these two buying them outright. That's just my opinion on it, so I think it's,
The thing you gotta look with cloud-based, if you were gonna go that direction, it's awesome, especially if you have multiple, buildings. So say we had,
I got it.
you know, a grade school across town or something instead of here.
Yep.
It integrates it all together, cloud-based does.
Got it.
And so you would just be, and then at the same time, it covers your phone bill and everything all at the same time. So
So it's a little
you're,
tough topic, a little bit, Dan, only because we don't know what's gonna happen in 20 years.
you don't.
But both of these have the potential to go cloud-based, correct?
You could still use like the same phones and stuff for cloud-based, but the server itself.
Would change.
You just wouldn't have a server.
Yeah, okay.
Dan, can you you've given us a little bit of direction here, on your familiarity with Hamilton, because obviously, I don't want to speak for everybody here, but I'd say most of us are not experts in, what you are an expert in. So,
Not even most.
and you are right, it's very similar on this quote number,
I mean, if you go through that, everything is so much the same.
yes. So I'm turning to you for a little nudge or a push on what you would recommend to the board, because we rely on your expertise here. I don't think any of us can look through these and say, man, this one's way better than that one.
And I can't either, to tell you the truth. I think
Okay, well-
both of them are very equal. Like I was telling Dawn, the thing that I see, I've worked with Avaya before.
Okay.
I'm familiar with it. And so if I have to give a notch, the Hamilton is.
Just familiarity working with the
Yes.
systems, okay, that helps us.
And
Okay.
that was probably the biggest thing for me too, is
I-
you've worked with the software,
You
you've worked with the
You
hardware.
wouldn't, I wouldn't even have to be trained on it to say, because I've already done it.
You just have
Did
to
High
know.
Point provide references? I see the 4 references, 5, 4, 5 on Hamilton.
They must not have, if it's
Okay.
not on there.
You don't know if that Memorial Community, is that the one Memorial Community in Seward? Or is that?
I do not know
It
that.
could be Aurora.
I'm
Well,
not
they've
sure.
got 2 health systems.
Okay.
Which speaks well to the complexity. I
Yeah.
assume High Point is similar, but they didn't include it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
I know when I talked to High Point, he said that he told me of a few places that they had phones at. I don't remember off the top of my head what that was.
well, I always worry about service, because that's what, in my job, we always have to worry about where our service techs are placed.
Yep.
I think, do we have a service map, for instance, we provide that, or have they given you any idea how long would it take?
With Hamilton, they explained to us several times, Dawn and myself, about their service is their priority. And so that,
That's a big thing.
It is.
for backup, so.
and they said they will never go away. And that's, you know, if they're telling you that, that's,
Is it safe to assume they have a larger Nebraska footprint than the Sioux City operation, judging by some of
I
what
would think so. And the people that we talked to at the NETA conference, we've kind of seen that direction. But don't quote me on any of that, you know
Well,
what I
no,
mean? I don't
They
know
have,
for sure.
But that's
locations.
another in their favor, if you know the system, they have a great service footprint, because that would be important for liaison with you if there is an issue.
Yep.
They have locations, as close as Omaha for us, but, their list is Grand Island, Aurora, Denver, all these things, Lincoln, Omaha, Kearney, and Central City. So I'm not really concerned, especially with the service, and with the location right in Omaha. But, Ed is the one we've been dealing with, he's been very good about getting out or setting up Zooms. Or I do believe too with this, that they can access the system and do some troubleshooting.
Oh, yes, totally, they can do almost
If it's
everything
something that they can do.
off, yeah, offsite.
With moving forward on whatever one that we decide on, did they kind of give you, since we currently don't have any answering system, did they give you an idea of how soon we could get phones
Very
switched out?
quickly, and that's on the for the Hamilton one, that's part of that, quote. It indicates if you're purchased before September 25th, it's that amount. I have it highlighted for you guys.
Uh-huh.
And then I also want to tell you, there's possibly, most likely not, I talked to him this morning, could be a $2,500 tariff fee with Hamilton, but as of right now, there is not.
Okay.
So I would think
The sooner we get it
if
done,
you
the better.
decide,
Mm-hmm.
you're more likely not to have it. If you wait, none of us can answer that.
Yeah.
We don't know.
But getting them installed, because obviously it's a
Install would not, I
concern.
don't think would take, the only issue, like I said, I'm having is the switches.
Mhm.
And so if we don't have the switches, we can't install, so.
High Point's based out of, West Fargo, North Dakota.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, Hamilton's, Nebraska company, if anybody cares about that. My last question, well, it's more, Dr. Lewis, just a clarity, I see in the recommended motion here, on the budget of where it's coming out, it looks like from depreciation or QC puff. Is that
Yes, I have I checked with the Department of Education to see if that funds is qualified, for safety. He said it's kind of a gray area. He thought it would be okay, but advised we could check with our school council. So it could come out of QC puff or it could come out of depreciation.
The board will recall, we looked over those, our QC puff fund is down to 5 figures and will be, I think it's down like
92.
$90,000. So we'll be able to cover it in there. If, to Dr. Lewis's point, QC puff is much more narrow and focused now on what you can use it for. So we'll get that clarity when we decide here, but just for reference. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Oh,
hold on.
Yeah,
We're not gonna
yeah,
get to
yeah,
action items.
revision, yeah.
We're still in visitors and guests.
We're-
just.
Oh,
We
sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, we could, you
I
can't
skipped-
do them out of order if you
You
want.
skipped a lot of things,
We gotta
just
go
kidding.
through the three.
Yeah, you could, sorry.
Robert's
No, I was
rules.
reading, the bids and got carried away.
Yep.
You're so excited, so excited.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Larson, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, if you
Yes, thank
guys
you
don't
very
need me, I'm gonna head out.
So, Dr. Lewis will
Good to
keep
see
you
everybody.
posted,
Yeah.
on where our motion comes up, where
I'll
we come up.
text you later,
Sounds great.
okay?
All right,
All
thanks,
right,
guys.
thank you for your
All right, thank
time.
you.
All right, we'll see ya.
All right, moving on to agenda item 3, the consent agenda. And here you'll see minutes from the previous board meeting. You'll see your financials. I'm gonna pull up here to highlight a couple of things. First page in financials, you'll see current ending balances. You won't see an interfund transfer for hot lunch yet. That will be just due to timing. You'll see that next month most likely. And then going through the check register, obviously the beginning of the year, you'll see some things regarding equipment costs, athletic costs, some repair, things like that.
KSB covered the speaker that we brought in for the staff.
Yes,
for
thank
safe
you.
school. Yep.
That was why you see legal costs a little higher, is one of our legal counsel brought in a speaker to come speak to our staff. So that's why you'll see those costs higher than
Yeah.
most ever.
Yes.
Uh, So, and then a couple other things. There's lots of things to look through here. Also the hand payables, you'll see, the concrete replacement on there, from a while ago. We talked about that,
Yeah, that was in August when we did that.
that it was gonna happen.
Navigator motor coaches is paid for half by the boosters, so we just paid for half of that, and then you check if they will drive them down the road for some reason. And some of these too are just things that, were committed in the 24-25 budget. So we need to get them paid and get them off the books or in that last budget year before we roll over into the next year, so. That's what most of the handmade expenses are this time of year.
And then you'll see quite a bit in the Visa bill as well. I'm gonna open it up, to anybody, because there's a lot of things on this, just because of the timing of the year, but, just for clarifications on any line items or why they did certain things, I'll kind of open it up to the board.
On page 2, what is the intercom platform? Class intercom?
So that is the program that we use that, allows like all of the posts to, be like created and approved and then post to all of our social media accounts.
Okay, I'm thinking intercom, like over the,
Yeah.
like, okay.
I know, that's what they call it, but yeah,
What is
it's not
that?
an intercom system, it's the program that they use for those social media things.
Okay. What, is the temporary motor for condenser fan?
That was, that would be part of the insurance claim, but that's a temporary motor they had to put on while they're waiting for the major part of that repair to come in.
Will that be reimbursed then by the insurance?
Yes, minus the deductible.
Got it. Okay. Next page. Sorry, I have lots of things. The lot stripping and cleaning. I was here and they did that. How often do they do that?
Once a year.
Like, so it's done every year?
It started very school.
Oh, okay. Okay. Save my comment for that.
They paid pretty fast.
What is the teacher credit resource and teacher direct second grade and fifth grade supplies is in the hand tables? So are those like, what are those?
Those were just supplies that were purchased from the budget, requisitions that we do in the spring, it all gets purchased in the summer.
Okay,
And since they were purchased already and we've received them, we just paid them to pay them out in the 24-25 year.
oh, okay, so those were things that were already like
Yes.
approved and whatever, they're just bills that came
The
in.
bills came in a little bit late
Different,
for us. They
okay.
came in probably after the August board meeting, but we didn't want to hold them.
Got it, okay, so it's like, were those people or who? Okay, cool. The iPads on the Visa bill, so page 5,
Mhm.
there's an Apple MacBook and an Apple iPad.
Mhm.
Who or what were those for?
Dan just walked out of the room.
No,
so-
No, he's
I'm-
back.
I'm still here.
Oh,
Gee,
you're
yeah.
back. I don't remember who those were for.
The MacBook is for
It was a teacher requisition.
Mrs. Hilgenkamp. And which iPads were they? Does it say on there? Does it have an amount?
1,645.
That was where they were all for special education.
So those are just the ones? Okay. So those were, again, things that were like, they had
They were
requested?
requested,
Okay, and then they're just coming through for purchase?
yes, correct.
We've seen a lot of them, Dan, that's why we're,
Yeah.
we've seen
Good.
quite, and we knew we purchased new computers and things like that. I guess we're just confused when we see them not on
Like
the
one.
other big order.
Yep,
and see them.
exactly. These were requested by the special education department, and it was at a different time than, so, and everything kind of came in late because it took forever to get them.
Yep.
Because everything is on back order anymore.
Of course. Last thing that I had, sorry, I had lots of questions. I think it's the last page on our district level facilities and operations. I was just noticing that the building maintenance and ground maintenance, well, ground's not so much, but building maintenance and operation costs, that very last page.
Oh, page 7.
It's very, yeah, okay, 7, not 8, whatever it is. There's just a super big difference between what we budgeted and what our expenditures were. Did we budget for something that we haven't done yet, or?
That's, again, that number contains those big line items that
Uh-huh.
help us balance the budget, and we
Yep.
don't know if we're gonna need them, but your one major, catastrophe
Yes.
from needing that, so
Okay.
you.
Cause I remember a couple years
sometimes
back,
it
we
gets
were
moved into-
over,
Yeah.
so then, and you know, just
Yeah,
things happening.
so like last year or 2 years ago, we were putting the new units in over the gym and the
Yes.
concession stand in the library, so then
Yeah.
we spent every penny of that, right?
Yes.
So that, those are those numbers that we talk about when we're talking
Mhm.
about getting to like, being close to 100% of the budget.
Yes.
Some of those you put them in there, cause some years you spend them and some years you don't, but you can't take them out, because if you need them, you need them.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, so
Okay.
this was a little bit less of a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so, but I just wanted to kind of ask because
Yes.
it's, you know,
Exactly.
I'm like, is there something coming yet?
Nope, that's,
Okay.
it's just the time to talk about that, that's,
Yeah.
that budget that we were talking about.
Perfect. Okay. That's all that I had. Anybody else? Oh, hold on. Not all I had. One more. Student vending. What's our plan for recovery on that one? That's 663. I don't, what, because I remember we bought something, right?
We bought the
snack
machine.
Okay.
So it should hopefully
Take care of itself.
take care of itself this year, yes.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Now I'm done. Great. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Cass and Stevenson, moving second. Is there any further discussion? Let's go.
Chase Gratidell,
Yes.
Brian Lonker.
Yes.
Steve Slagheis,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot, Jason R.
Yes.
Jesse Plus.
Yes.
Motion carries on agenda. That's fine. Agenda item 4 is curriculum instruction report. You'll see a notice here from Mrs. Coach Lorsch. She's not going to be joining us this evening. She's probably in the 4th or 5th inning now.
The playing grant needs.
So, she attached her report there. Obviously, this is her first year in the new role as a librarian, so a little different for her. And I don't know if Dr. Lewis or Dr. Morgan or Mr. Finkson, if you had anything you wanted to add to her report, since obviously her position intersects with the whole building.
Yeah, I think that she would be more than happy to answer any questions that you have going through there, but we have added some pieces, we've changed things just a little bit. I would add, we're going back to AR, we added that, so that means that the kids can take the little quizzes on books that they read. So we did away with that for a few years. We also switched, like our typing program that we're using, and so she's just going to do things just a little bit different than they had been done when Mrs. Rollins was in the library. So we've added some different pieces there. What else do you guys have planned?
Mrs. Lorsch just wanted me to extend an invitation to any board members if you're ever visiting the school, that the library is always open and she would love for you to come in and visit or ask questions. So,
Do you know if we have the ability for the students to check out ebooks based on our library?
I don't think we have a huge piece. Did we ever have Tumble books here? I don't think we do any ebooks. They have to go to the library and get physical copies. There are a couple programs where elementary students could do the online books. They don't check them out, they just view them, but we don't do that.
We do have an online
You do have
platform for elementary books, but.
But it's
middle
not
high
like a
school.
checkout one, yeah.
And they're specific to,
Whatever they're doing in class, like the skill reinforcement. Book fairs, she's got book fairs twice a year. Those bring in lots of kiddos. They usually do them in connection to parent-teacher conferences.
Very good. Pretty straightforward.
And so it's like she's making some good updates, which is awesome.
Every time there's changeover, somebody changes something that, that suits their personality a little bit
Yeah.
more and suits the way they want things to run. I mean,
Changes in
Mrs.
that.
Rollins took over it, she
Yeah.
changed things, and it's just how it works. Fresh ideas, keep it fun and exciting, you get kids back in checking out books.
Cool.
Any no other questions? We move on to agenda item 5, the principal's report. Mr. Kingston.
All right, on our side, we are getting some beginning of the year testing going on, map testing and then iReady for 7th and 8th grade. Give us a baseline of where students are. I know cell phone policy was a big hot topic, so I wanted to follow up with the board on that. I actually lied on this one. We have 3, not 2 now.
No.
So, no, we have great community, great kids who, they're doing great with the expectations in that policy, so, hope that our families appreciate that too, so.
Is that number way below what you expected?
That's
lower than what I expected.
Not necessarily from feedback from some other schools, and we also know, you know, there's a honeymoon period with a lot of things too. Okay. I don't know how to better say that.
So it might go up.
It might, but it'll also become kind of just the normal thing that we do, is just not being on your phone.
It takes 15 minutes or 15 days to make a habit, so I mean, we're just getting in there.
Yep, that's right, so.
Mr. Kingston spends a little time turning off alarms going off on cell phones.
Yeah, that was, especially the first week, we'd have lockers that were beep, 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 or whatever, they were, playing music as alarms were going off.
At least you knew the alarms were in their locker.
Waking up in the morning.
It was pretty funny there. There's probably like 2 a day to start, so it was fun.
That's awesome.
So I'm one of the few that has a locker key, so I can get in there and just turn them off. But that was a good experience, so. No, we appreciate it. So, but we'll keep that kind of updated and make sure we have a policy that's congruent with what we have expectations for our kids.
I can tell you, I haven't heard one parent complain about it.
No.
At all.
No.
Zero.
Never heard anything.
No.
Yep.
So,
You've seen a lot in the news though.
Oh, yeah.
The Eagles Market, I include the video. Please watch that. One of the students that frequents Jamie's class was the producer of that video, so it's really cool. They do a good job. They talk about their experiences and what their plans are for this year for staff meals and different things that way, and the skills that they're learning. So it's about 2 minutes, 15 seconds, something like that. So get a chance, click on that link. And then homecoming is coming up in a couple of weeks. There's our themes, and you are certainly welcome. This is my annual offer for board members. If you feel like chaperoning and dance, you certainly can. That would be on Saturday from 8 until 10. So, DJ, whatever you would like.
Yeah.
For anyone, DJ?
nope, good.
Nope.
I nominate Cassie.
No.
Sorry, I nominate.
She's probably the
I'm
most
busy.
hip out of all of us.
Yeah, ask my kids. Doesn't happen. No.
You do it one time, and
I'll be having a party of my
I
own.
love it. Any questions?
We're good.
Thank you, Mr. Kingston. Mr. Shada.
Hey, all right, good evening. We're quickly approaching the weeks where we host a couple big events. So next week we host 2, the cross-country meet at the fairgrounds. Technically it's a week later this year. We moved it because this week is a big race hosted by Creighton and Omaha Sports Running Academy. So we moved our meet, so that's next Thursday, which is fun, and the softball tournament. It's a Saturday, and the following Tuesday is the girls golf invite. And the following Saturday after that is the softball volleyball invite. So we're in that later part of September where we have all the invites we have, which is great. I put some of the fun events that happened with Friday night games on there too. We had Post Farm. They're going to sell ice cream again. Also this Friday too. They just asked about that too. So
Is it gonna be warmer this Friday?
I think it is actually. It is.
90 is a high.
Yes, so we'll have little girls cheer night. I'm sure Dr. Morgan will talk about Grandparents' Day, which is fun for them, and some ice cream, all sorts of things, and homecoming, and then so on. There's your participation number. I usually try to update that this time of the year for the fall. They look really pretty good. Those ebbs and flow between seasons and sports. So there's 4 offerings for our girls this time of year, so they get spread pretty thin. So they're doing a good job being involved in quite a bit of things. Is there? And then our clubs are right below. We are excited that those are getting kicked off, and They've all had their pizza kickoff parties now and getting kids signed up, and then we start to see who really wants to be committed and going to different events and things like that too. So, the band was at the state fair, which is awesome. They've gone as many years as I've been here. And have they always gone? Is probably the real question. So it's a fun time for them. Good opportunity to perform in front of a lot of people. And then I did the same thing as Jason did, is put the dress up days. You're welcome to come dress up and hang out with us. Those are fun. So,
Are our football numbers staying steady?
yeah, they're up the last 2 years. Yeah, they're up the last 2 years. Yeah.
Good question. I was gonna bring it up because I hear a lot about the Oakland Craig deal.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was just wanting to know. So,
That's a good question, guys. Credit to the guys on staff, they do a good job interacting, and some of us have boys that play for them too, and they do a nice job doing lots of fun things with them. They're all summer with them, putting that time in with the boys too, so.
yeah,
That commitment level.
I talked to a board member from the Oakland Craig School Board. And they'd make some hard decisions about what to do, and so I said, yeah, I don't pity what you gotta do. So
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna co-op or not.
I made my point to them, but I didn't say nothing. I let it go, but I made my point of what they should do. So,
No, we're blessed with good families and good people running our programs. So, good question. Any other questions, guys?
Dr. Moyer.
All right, it's me. All my stuff is really in arrears. Like I'm not talking Grandparents' Day. That'll be in October.
Sorry. Just the
It's coming
teaser.
up. It's on
Wow.
Friday. It's the teaser.
Now
It's- I know, but I get pictures if I do it after. I get pictures.
Oh.
That's what you're going for. I
That's
see
really,
it.
that's really kind of how I roll. It is a fun day. We do have about 1,000 people in the building at that time. Additional people in the building, or we're up to 1,000 people on the elementary side with kids and grandparents. Yes, there are more grandparents than there are children on our side on Friday. And then we roll it right on into a Friday night football game and bring all those grandparents over to watch their little cheerleaders. It's exciting. It will double the ice cream sales, for sure, especially if it's 90, it'll be good. Okay, so we also work in iReady and map testing are almost complete, so we'll have those numbers, and we're starting to look at what our plan is of attack for the kiddos that need all the things that they need, whether it be a little extra attention in an area or pushing them further than they are. So there we go. Bangor Schools kicked off last week, 10 years. They've been coming and we've been partnering. So they did a $10 match, or up to $10, so they gave them an additional $10. So I think lots of money was deposited last Friday, so that's exciting. SOAR, we're still soaring on the elementary side. That's our behavior management, talking about being safe, owning behavior, being active listeners and learners, and always being respectful. The kids earn bracelets earn them prizes. We are stretching. Last year we did a lot of week or 2 week prizes. We're stretching into the months range now, so they have to collect more bracelets. We did a shorter one to kick off the year. They got ice cream treats if they met it. We are now working towards a scavenger hunt that is throughout the building. If they collect 150 bracelets, by mid-October, they get to participate in that. So that will be exciting. And then we've got our Eagles of the Month. They are listed for you there, and there is a picture of their bright smiling faces for the month of August. There they are with their yard signs. Yeah, good looking bunch. That's it. That's all I've got for sunshine and yeah, this is the second year we've done that. Yeah,
Thank you, Dr. Moyer.
absolutely.
Moving on to agenda item 6, superintendent's report. A few things in here, Dr. Lewis.
The first thing, if you recall, back when we were doing our focus group last spring, we narrowed it down to 4 possible mission statements. And so what we did at the beginning of the school year is the staff voted on what their favorite of those 4 was, and we narrowed it down to 2. And so we put the 2 out to all of our stakeholders that are on our mass email system. We had 126 responses, which is pretty good. It's not all of them by any means, but it's it's a nice response. And so the winner then of that, so we have a new mission statement, was whichever one the third group had developed, which was empower all students to develop the skills necessary for lifelong learning, responsible decision-making, and adaptability, enabling them to make meaningful contributions to their communities. So tweaked a little bit, says a little bit more about what we talk about here on a day-to-day basis. Mr. Mason says it was his.
I'm pretty sure it was my group.
I was remembering why.
I was just thinking, I'm like, I think we should, I need to go look at that.
I was everyone.
I don't remember. I don't even remember what the statement was.
I knew this was gonna happen. Anyway, so we will replace these, on the wall. You have these story excellence. So we will republish or reprint our posters, and we will get our new mission statement on there, and we'll probably include a few other things there, and maybe keep our story to excellence, have new graphics done, and those will be placed throughout our building as they are now in time for our external review in November. So anyway, it's kind of a fun process, and I knew there would be a little competition here because in this room there is always a little bit of competition. So
Oh, I think I deleted it.
Okay, your NASB NERCSA reports are attached if you would like to review those on your own time. One thing with NASB is that we do have the area membership meetings coming up on September 24th. So I know I have at least 3 people in this room registered for that. So if anybody else would like to attend and you didn't get the notice in the mail, because I got Cass and Chase and Shannon already committed to attend. So if you can come on the 24th, let me know and I will get you registered. I think we can register you up until like the 20th. So if you're not sure and it looks like it's gonna clear up for you, it's a Wednesday night. We go over to Fremont at their new CTE as separately. I've got a couple of meetings coming up just to let you know. That'll be out of the building part or all of those days. One of them, of course, is the one I just talked to you about, and you'll be with me and I won't be out of the building at all. But next Monday will be the Commissioners Advisory Council in Hershey. So that's not as far as it was last year. Last year was Scottsbluff, so that was a little bit further. So I'm okay this time. But that will be an all-day meeting. It starts at 8:30 in the morning. I'll probably go up the night before and then come back after. I should be back around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it looks. And then on the 22nd, I have just part of the day is over a lunch meeting with NERCSA, which is our rural community schools organization, and that's at Wayne State College. So I will be back. That's an in-service day here, and I have a meeting at the end of the day with our in-service. I'll be back in time for that. Updated enrollment report is attached for you. After our last board meeting, I had emailed and kind of told you where we were after things kind of settled. So, kind of at the beginning of the year, a few days before school begins, we have everybody that we've been told is coming, and so the numbers sometimes look a little bit higher there. And so we've settled in 713 kids in the building. If they were all in attendance on any given day, that's pre-K through 12. We'll have next month updated enrollment numbers for you. Those become final figures in October, so I should be able to pull that up and look at that by October 1st. And then an update on our DLR meetings and schedules. So tomorrow, DLR will be set up all day and they will be doing staff interviews. So all staff are welcome to come in during their planning periods and spend 10-15 minutes with them. They can come individually or in small groups or whatever. On the 22nd will be a small invitational focus group. That again is our in-service day. It will be at 5 in the evening, and those people are invited. It'll be similar to like when we did the focus group where we specifically invited individuals that represent key stakeholders throughout the community. So it won't just be our school. It will be certainly the Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting. Our committee members, they will want there, but then it will be interviews. So I'll probably just make sure I'll send out the list and let you guys know if we're planning on inviting, if you have any other suggestions, but we need to keep that. I said it needs to be less than 40 people, or else it's just, you can't get productive information out of it. So that's why it needs to be that way. And then October 22nd is the second focus group meeting like that. And I will talk with Darren after the first one to see if he wants the same group, if he wants a different group, and that will be in conjunction with parent-teacher conferences. So you can take a little bit of their time then, you can get, it's a good time that people are actually in the building anyway. It's the first day of parent-teacher conferences, so not the day everybody takes that long weekend and Town or whatever they have going on the 23rd. So those are the next steps. We have coming with them. They, last time I talked to Darren, he's very confident that we can have some estimated numbers and kind of a good plan by December, so we can start talking with January what these focus groups and surveys and all of these things that we've been doing lead us to, if we're looking at renovations or whatever our next phases are.
That was the only thing I thought about, that, knowing that that starts tomorrow, is just, understanding to not, for DLR, not to set unrealistic expectations for people. We're not, having conversations about building a new school. We're not doing any of that. So just make sure that they set that expectation from the start, that we're looking at our current footprint in the school and things like that. I just don't want this where people get these unrealistic expectations.
And I will talk with Darren. I don't think that they lead a lot of, I don't think they give them leading questions, do you think we need a new school or whatever like that, but I can definitely talk to him that the intent of the board is not to run a $20 million bond and build a brand new facility or something like that. If 20 million would build that for you, it probably wouldn't. But I'm just saying, I think I'll just make sure that he's clear that the intent is not to rebuild or reinvent the wheel. It's just to make what we have. And within our current footprint, like you said.
Sorry, do you have a rough estimate on what time those meetings might be at?
5 o'clock,
Okay.
5 till 7.
Oh geez, is that on there? You said
No,
that very surely, so I'm
No.
like, did I miss that?
no, I
Okay.
just know because I sent
Okay,
them. with
just for my
Darren,
own
so, yeah,
scheduling things.
5
like,
to 7, yeah, and I'll send
Okay.
those invites out tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll get those
Perfect.
updated. You bet.
Sounds great, thank you.
Yeah, 5 to 7, that seems to catch people pretty decent time.
Okay.
Great question.
Agenda item 7, committee and representative reports, 7.1, Committee for American Civics. I believe they met just earlier tonight, is that right?
That's right.
Yes.
Anything we need to discuss or go on that?
So what we reviewed at that time is just the requirements of what started as an LV and is now 79-724, is that right, Mr. Kingston? You know that number? The civics requirements that the legislature gave us probably 5 years ago, which is this committee forms and meets 3 times a year, and we review what we do on an annual basis to meet those requirements. So we talked through those things, which include announcements, including things of like the holidays of patriotic nature, things like that, recognizing Patriots Day and Veterans Day, having components for our students as they're graduating that require them to either or attend some meetings of an elected board or take part in the citizenship test. Our students do both of those things. Those are graduation requirements. We say the Pledge of Allegiance every day, so we talk through all of those things that we do. Anyone else was in the room, feel free to chime in. Mr. Up, you were there?
I was. But it's always the same, I mean, we just go over the same things and make sure they're all done.
Seems that we're covering the good basics that we need.
We kind of talked about at what age our curriculum, so Steve asked some of those questions in the committee. What kind of instruction our kids get and how young, and Jackie said, so Dr. Morgan said as early as 3rd grade, we're starting to talk about the branches of the federal government and things like that, so we start teaching those things earlier.
Agenda item 7.2, St. Paul's liaison meeting, so Dr. Lewis, Jason, and Brian are part of that.
Yeah, we met last week.
Last week we met with Pat and Dan Douglas, one of their school board members. Went over a few things. I think the biggest thing to come out of it was Pat was gonna reach with Dawn and work out a deal to have St. Paul's kids involved in the Veterans Day program.
Yep.
To have that all together instead of having Pat, so they usually follow and have it in the afternoon out there at St. Paul's, and it's hard to get them older people out twice. He said it would be better to just have it one time.
So we're gonna bring them on the bus, we didn't work it out.
And
The
then
teachers
wanted
were
us to get them
excited.
in here and all that sort of stuff, so.
Yeah.
I guess that all worked out.
The teachers involved were happy to invite them along, and I believe that they've made communication already, and we'll send a bus and bring them in, and they will participate, with our students up here and combine programs.
Awesome.
I don't remember anything else.
Yeah, we just talked about the typical stuff, the classes that we share, and the calendars and how they mesh and things like that. But yeah, that was the biggest thing that came out of it. We're pretty excited about that.
7.3, finance committee, we met a couple times. Most recently, we had the finalized evaluations there. So that just clarified, narrowed our focus on the numbers we'll see here in a little bit shortly. But it was nothing that we weren't expecting. It was pretty close to what we were anticipating on what those things look like. We'll have a lot of to present here to vote in a little bit. Agenda item 8, unfinished business, 8.1, discussion of coach's handbook. Mr. Shada, this is a couple questions arose, and it's just timing. Maybe we can talk about changing when we do those handbook changes for when all the admins here, just in case we have questions. The major topic of discussion, there was a lot of changes in the coach's handbook as far as the structure of reporting for assistant coaches, shifting from assistant coaches reporting and being evaluated from the head coach to you. So there was a lot of questions on why that was happening. The main reason I think I can speak for a lot of us was obviously the head coaches with the assistant coaches and meetings and practices and games. You can't be at all those, so we were just trying to figure out why that big change was happening across the board.
That actually was like a 2 years ago change that just didn't get taken off of there. Just in a process, it reflects the process that we've had the last several years, that when meeting with the head coach, that I meet with them and they talk back about how their meetings have gone, as you spoke to. And then that process is just finalized more in the documents that way, that the final decision is something that is mine, but in consideration with the head coach that we discussed and move from there.
Okay, I'm gonna back up here. We were told maybe there's miscommunication here. We were told those changes did not happen 2 years ago, and they were happening this year. So now I'm confused.
The red line version made it look like they had just been made on the document.
Yeah, that was just a clear mind, not getting that out of there. We did that a couple of years ago and made some changes documents. I put those together there.
Okay.
I don't feel like we looked at the right handbook.
Yeah, now I'm a
I don't
little
feel
more
like we
confused because we went
approved
back
the-
and forth on the handbook.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we need to clarify that, because there was a lot of things that we weren't positive on, so I think we need to make sure that we see the correct handbook.
So did I resend that to you then, or we just kind of held off because the red
I
line
think
version was attached? I had updated the list of coaches and things like that.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get the correct handbook to you
Yes.
guys, and then if you have more questions beyond that, but yes.
If we can get
Should be on
the
screen.
correct handbook,
It sounds like we approved the correct handbook either then.
we did.
Okay.
The correct handbook as it stood prior to those changes.
You would like to see the prior one?
And then, because now there's confusion on what actually changed to the new one.
Yeah, we have
Because
to.
we were of the understanding that those changes were being enacted on this year's handbook.
Like this was the new
That we were
Yeah.
changing it to, yes, the
Yeah.
whole board was that understanding. So that's obviously an issue we need to figure out. So if we can, we made the approval, that's fine, but
Yeah.
now if the board can look at, hey, what did it look like prior to the changes and what did it actually change to?
Mhm.
That'll allow us to see.
Mhm. So the
Because-
red line that you're seeing is what we changed it to 2 years ago.
So I
What are we
guess
talking about
why
that
are we seeing a
process?
red line change on a?
If it was already approved, why aren't we seeing last year's version?
Because that's what I was trying to tell you, that
Yeah.
when I was saving it, I thought we had got those off of there, so you wouldn't
Yeah.
see those anymore.
Okay.
And when it sent over, I thought it was
They were
gone.
all-
It kept
they were all
showing up,
there.
so I sent it to poor Jen 3 times, and she said, hey, it's still showing up, and so I had
Okay.
to figure out what I was doing clerically wrong.
Okay,
So
so we
there's
wanna
no-
see the one that doesn't have the red lines that was actually last year's.
Mhm.
And then what is being changed for this year's, which we've already approved, but
Right.
it looks like there's a ton of stuff changing on it.
I'm not gonna go back, if we
So-
approved something 2 years ago, we approved it.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not gonna go back and change it.
No, no.
But so we understand what actually changed this year, that's important, because we were under the impression that change was happening this year.
So there's no changes from the year before.
So there's no changes at all.
No, we haven't made
From
any
last
changes.
year to
No,
this year.
Well, list of coaches and things.
Well,
Right,
except for the coaching list.
sure.
But the
Like,
handbook
in terms of
itself
what
is
you're
the
asking
same.
about, like the protocol.
Okay, so there's no, just to clarify, the only changes that would occurred were updated dates to reflect the season, and then any names, of personnel that changed.
Correct.
Okay, so knowing that then, if we can, just see, what the current handbook that I guess is, because we were under impression we were voting on something very different, and that's an issue.
No, I apologize for not getting those red lines off from way before that.
The bottom line, from a managerial perspective, you just added oversight. Basically, the coaches will come to you with their report on their assistants.
Mhm.
You verify that with them as a matter of oversight. It's
Mhm.
not that you're taking over
Mhm.
who's, you gotta do this
Correct.
necessarily.
Correct.
Okay, that was a lot of the confusion.
Yep.
We just wanted to be
Yeah, so we
clarified.
meet, in season, we meet bi-weekly, and then obviously an end of the year follow-up, and in that process, there's a lot of questions to go through, but one of the questions is on assistant coaches, and they give their honest feedback, that's a personnel thing, and then we work through that, and if changes have to be made, then we make changes from there. So,
Well, that makes more sense from, we were a little confused because it seemed like it was suddenly skipped that only you were looking at the assistants, the way the language was. I think wasn't that the confusion, that it was you making the only, but it's in conjunction, that makes sense from a managerial standpoint, I get it. So the rest we just have to figure out clearly.
So you want me to send you the current handbook that's in
Yes.
practice?
The non-red line.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes, please.
That's what created.
okay, this make, okay,
Sorry
understood.
for the confusion. You want me to send that just to you?
No, send it to just APS board.
Okay.
For now.
Okay, agenda item 9.1, discuss, consider, and take necessary action, to approve 2025-2026 budget of expenditures as presented. So this was pretty much copy pasting from that first graph we saw at 6:30 with the different line items on general depreciation activities, school nutrition, QC Puff bond, and special building. So this is separate than the levy, but they correspond to each other. So that's important to know. So I know we talked a little bit less about this one. It's pretty straightforward, but definitely any questions anybody has on any of these numbers and any of these line items. I know we kind of talked about almost all of them, but open it up to the board there.
Here's mine.
So this is everything that we discussed in the hearing, and we had that full chart pulled up. If anybody would like to see that again, it's attached to the hearing, so you can grab it. But we had a good discussion about it.
And all these numbers come up and it's a lot, but we talk about it throughout the last however many meetings in portions. So this is where all these decisions that we've kind of made throughout all come together. So,
Really, it begins with negotiations.
Yeah.
And once you approve that master agreement, and then you do what is non-certificated and the admin, and then you do all of the district level budgets, the building level budgets, all of that
Yeah.
is what it rolls
we've been
into
working on it
this
since
big thing.
November.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah, we send it to the state by October 1st, and then we start working on it again.
can I make a motion?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adopt the 2025-2026 budget as presented.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Cass and Brian. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Brian Locker,
Yes.
Steve Slickice,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot,
Yes.
Jason Hart,
Yes.
Cassie Fussman,
Yes.
Teresa Rado.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Agenda item 9.2, consider and adopt resolution to set final tax request for 2025-2026. So similar, this is pretty much copy paste on the second, display, you would have seen at 645. So this basically sets, those levies and those tax authority, asking accounts that correspond, to the previous budget. So obviously, I said this earlier, one of the most important votes any board member will take, is when you set a levy. And I would just highlight, kind of what I did earlier. Finance committee's been working on this. It's a year-long process. Dr. Lewis's point on talking about when we go through negotiations and building level budgets and certificated staff, non-certificated staff, all those things, build into this. We, some things we can control, some things we cannot control. I want to highlight that. Obviously, there is a lot of problems in Lincoln. There's going to be a lot of serious conversations that happen at the unicameral in the short session here that they're going into, because they have a lot of money to find to make up for a lot of expenditures that they have. So if anybody's been following the news, the governor wants to cut $500 more million from the budget due to some federal actions. They're predicting that's going to cost another $400 million, and then there's budget deficits already. So that right there, if they stay the course, there's $1 billion that they have to find money for that's not there. So there's going to be some tough conversations. Also, when we lowered the levy about 14 cents a couple years ago, Steve, I know you asked that earlier, that was due to a change that happened at the state level where new legislation was given where there's foundation aid, $1,500 given to school district for each student there. That allowed us to lower our levy because of those state funds. That funding mechanism is running out much faster than they anticipated, and the revenue is not coming in as to make up for it. We've talked about this. We didn't know what was going to happen with those state funds, or how long it lasts. So the state is going to have to probably meet and figure that out at some point. I know they've put together some working groups already to look at school funding, TIOSA long-term, what that looks like. This is a never-ending debate in Nebraska, and I don't see it going away with these funding concerns on the horizon. All that being said, we, Finance Committee, is presenting a budget that we think is mindful of taxpayer dollars and at the same time preparing and ensuring we don't have money problems or infrastructure problems down the road. I think we are doing a good job of threading this needle based upon this budget. And like I said earlier, there's other districts very close by that are running into some severe problems with this. And they're going to have building infrastructure problems and growth issues probably because of some money problems they didn't prepare for long term. So I think we're preparing for those conversations should and when they arise. So with that, I'm going to stop talking because that's more than enough. And I'm going to open it up to any of the board to ask any questions about this.
So basically, when asked by the public.
Yep.
For instance, as a new member, we're asking for 82 cents.
82 and a half.
82 and a half.
Yep.
Last year was 79.1.
No.
No, it
Last
was
year was
86. It was
86.
86. The
Yes.
assumed would be the 79.1. So we're actually having a 4%
We
reduction.
needed the same
so
amount
that
of money based on this year's valuation instead of last. It could have been.
See,
I love that
that's a
they make
tricky,
us
I
imagine,
know, when
imagine
they,
this.
when they
Yeah,
put it
only-
that way, it can be confusing
Yeah.
for someone. Okay.
Yeah,
That's good, because I get to see that question coming up. Well, what have you, no, this is a levy on down.
yeah,
so I
they
think-
make us propose an imaginary scenario and then
Okay.
explain it.
And like you said, we're
That's all
building
I can say
in,
about that.
we have a rainy day fund.
We do,
basically,
yeah.
we're
We
planning
have-
for the
We
future.
call it necessary
Air
cash
conditioner
reserves.
fund.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have, yep, we've got
Okay.
reserves, we've got depreciation.
Well, and another thing that the
building
board has
funds.
tried to do for a long time is to have more of a level budget or a level
Levy.
levy, there we go. So that we're not asking, going up and down 15 cents every year. Like, we don't wanna do that. So this is how, that's something that we thought about a lot when we were building this, is how do we, kind of put something aside so that we know that we're gonna have these projects coming up, so we don't have to do a huge bond. Different things like that. How do we prepare for the future when we know there's going to be things coming up? How do we help prepare for that now rather than asking for a whole bunch later on?
That makes sense to me, I just wanna make sure how to explain it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, high level, we're, lowering the levy by just under 4 cents, as compared to last year. While still, preparing, for the future, for any needs that we may have to keep up with, building upkeep and growth, and then, excuse me, also, adhering to, those other line items of, a bond fund, that we have to, as well.
And that goes to 2030.
2032. Well, 32 is a small payment, 2031 is the last, like, big. payment.
And it goes up every
Sure.
year.
Yeah, it adjusts.
Thank you.
And with this being a resolution, I have to read the entire resolution, so when you're ready and we finish discussion, I will read that and then you can.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution to set the final tax request for 25-26.
Do we have to read that whole part of that too?
I will, you go ahead and say that, and then I'll read everything that's in here. I'll read it out loud after you get the second.
So I second it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, whereas Nebraska revised statute 77-1632 and 77-1630 provide that the governing body of Arlington Public Schools passes by a majority vote a resolution or ordinance setting a tax request. And whereas a special public hearing was held as required by law and to consider comments concerning the property tax request, now therefore the governing body of Arlington Public Schools resolves that the 2025-2026 property tax request be set at $6,947,852 in the general fund, $757,576 in the bond fund, $719,049 in the special building fund. The total assessed value of property differs from last year's total assessed value by 9.1%. The tax rate, which would levy the same amount of property taxes as last year when multiplied by the new total assessed value of property, would be 0.791808 per $100 of assessed value. Arlington Public Schools proposes to adopt a property tax request that will cause its tax rate to be 0.825913 per $100 of assessed value. Based on the proposed property tax request and changes in other revenue, the total operating budget of Arlington Public Schools will, I don't know if we're increasing, by last year's budget by 6.15%. Sorry, that one caught me. The total budget is going up by 6.15%. Our tax levy is going down, and our tax rate is, the taxes reflect is going up slightly. So, I believe that's increased, so sorry about that. A copy of this resolution will be certified and forwarded to the county clerk on or before October 15th, 2025. Motion by Locker, seconded by Carterville.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Further discussion, just to add to that, two things. We will not be, with this proposal, we will not have to attend the postcard hearing. And then secondly, because this also came up with other districts, we are not needing to access additional authority. That 6% cap is what I'm going to call it. We don't have to do that as well, based upon this, but I just wanted to mention that to you. Let's vote.
Steve Slugheis,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot, yes, Jason Rowland,
Yes.
Cassie Plessner,
Yes.
Jason Carterville,
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. And item 9.3, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve purchase of up to 3 10-passenger vans. Dr. Lewis and Jan.
All right, we've been telling you about the situation with our vans. We got 2 of them sold. Gosh, what was the total on those? One was 25 and one was 19. So that was, those were the 2 that we knew we could not use even in like the meantime. We've got 1 that we'll be able to keep and 3 others that we can use in the meantime. Is that accurate? Yes. Yes. So getting those sold was great, but now we need to begin that process of replacing these vehicles. So Jen did, talking with a couple of different places, really found that there's only one company that manufactures them, and they have to come from the factory and then go to a place that then makes the modifications that will make that a vehicle that we can use for school. So you take it.
Chevy and GM still do currently make the full passenger vans, but Ford is the current manufacturer who produces the chassis that has to be modified as part of the modification. So they currently have those supply where the other 2 don't. So Ford, if you happen to notice any other new schools with new vans, you're gonna notice they're all Ford, and that's why. Because that
There's a stock tip in there
that
somewhere.
modification,
Yeah.
Ford is keeping the modification current and able to get what we need, the pieces to make the modification.
So, we had talked to 2 different places. One was like a mobility van specialist. They, at the time we talked to them, they had 1 available and they said they could get us more, but it was going to cost. And that's, if you scroll through that estimate there, Mr. Kingston, the second page includes a sideways copy of the email. No, I did that. That's my fault. But so their pricing would put us at about $70,000. I mean, we're gonna have to wait from them. Woodhouse has some ready for us to, they should be in soon.
Yes, I think Woodhouse is giving us more of a fleet pricing.
Yes, so the most expensive one there you can see on that, is the 65,600. So, we're looking at those ranging in price from $63,000 to $65,000, which is $5,000 to $7,000 cheaper than from the other place. That is with the modifications done. And they'll be ready for us to go and brand new. So-
Jen, I got a dumb question. I might know the answer, but I don't want to assume anything. Since why is there a 2K difference between some of the vans?
I suppose it's probably just maybe.
Trim levels and things
Yep.
like
Yep.
other vehicles got.
Yeah, just some accessories. I mean, nothing is, like, we didn't go out and say, we make sure we have to talk top. That's just probably the few things that are.
We don't have heated passengers either.
No, I think.
They almost all come with backup cameras anymore. I'm assuming that they'll have that, but probably not much more. These are probably pretty small ones.
And the Mobility Works is all like ADA compliance.
No, it's, we have to tell them what they
They
have
are
to do.
the closest certified modifier that we can utilize to
Oh.
do the modifications of
I
the.
was thinking.
You
So
can't just
it-
drive no
I was
modifier.
thinking
Yes,
mobility.
They are,
Not that.
actually, that's what they do, but, they have to be, the people who do the modifications have to be certified federally, I believe, so they are the closest.
They got another.
And Mobility Works is the place that does that, yeah, because you can't just take it to Omaha Truck and say, take out this seat and do this. You have to modify it. Which is why that modification is more expensive than the other two. But they'll all be taken care of by the time you take possession. It's, really nice.
How long do those take to come? What if, once,
The Woodhouse ones should be very soon.
You
Okay.
thought it would be about a month, by the time they got the vans here and the modification.
So then what we will do then is start that process of, okay, so now we have 3, let's see if we can get another one that we're probably gonna have to rotate out in the spring, see if we can get those sold in the same manner we did the other ones. So, I mean, we're not like having 6 or 7 vans in the fleet, just, I mean, we're going to try and get what we can out of them.
Unfortunately, yes, the timeline of when we won't be able to use those vans is unknown at this point.
We
So-
believe it will be in the spring, March, or April.
Well,
It could
the others
be-
brought more than we planned on anyway, so
yeah,
is there anything else we could sell?
I'm just asking, is there any other vans
Oh,
that are sitting around that
we've got,
don't get
we're
used?
probably, we're talking about selling the cargo van that doesn't have seats in the back because it hasn't been, and Jen doesn't believe that she's given anyone keys to that. Mr. Shada is saying, wait a minute.
No.
Oh, I thought maybe
Seems
you
like a
were
good
going to
idea to
Costco
me.
to get the candy, so we're gonna see if we can, get that one going first. Because I don't think we've driven it with cargo, for a couple of years.
So obviously the idea will be now, we'll have the new vans come in and and again, the other 3 vans that will need to get shifted out as well also are showing their age, they're getting to be high mileage. I mean,
So we wanna get them
it's
sold
time.
while they're still.
They're gonna have to go,
value
so
left.
we need to start phasing those out and just.
I would say, to everybody's point, let's try to be ahead of other districts on this, because
Yeah.
I think a lot of districts are gonna hit boom, 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 so I'd rather be a little further out ahead of this. I understand that maybe it's spring, maybe it's summer. We know this is coming though,
Yeah.
no matter what. So I think the more we can get as much value out of what's sitting, they're worth more today than they are gonna be to work tomorrow.
You wait a year
And it's gonna be cheaper to buy a van now than it is in 4 months too.
Right.
And there's, and they'll be, and you're going to be able to get it. Yeah, there might be a super long wait. The other thing too is, just to mention that these will be paid for out of general funds. We budgeted a couple $100,000 knowing that this was gonna happen. The bus that's on order will be paid out of depreciation because we moved the money to depreciation. That was out of last year's budget cycle, but this will get paid out of general funds out of this budget.
Do these get offered a warranty of some type or what?
Really
They'll have
They
the
should.
regular manufacturer.
Regular,
Yeah,
okay.
So they're brand new vans.
brand, they
Okay.
have to be brand.
Yep.
Yeah,
That last one just says.
It came
new.
available.
So that's
We
why,
found a 4th one
You
that
found
was
that.
new.
They have
but we're only looking at 3.
Yes, and they can be of any year,
Mhm.
they just have to be brand new vans and we cannot take possession of them until the modification is made.
Got it.
So yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure I was reading that
Yes.
email correctly.
They could be a 2024 or 25 or 26, whatever, but it just has to be a brand new vehicle that we've not taken possession of or have.
You used to be able to modify used ones and only used ones, and now they're saying you can only modify new. So anyway, fun times.
As he did, whoever this is, Theo, did say that there's another option that's below that $65,000, and I think looking at new things, we wanna do what's most fiscally responsible.
So yes, the 4th one that's listed down there,
That was a new one that came, that he
That
found.
was,
Yes.
that was the new one.
So
when
we-
he gave me the first quote, he gave me the top 3,
Uh-huh.
and then when he responded back to me, he said, hey,
Hey, I got
that
another
one came available, so yes. I
So
think-
really, we can get 3 of them for less than 65,000.
Yes, and I think Dr. Bush just put that in
Yeah.
motion, just
In
in case
case.
something were.
Just
yes.
in
In
case.
case somebody bought it.
In case
Just
somebody
in
bought
case
it,
something
got it,
came
just
back
in
as-
case,
yes.
yes.
Okay, cool. I will make a motion to approve the purchase of up to 3 10-passenger vans for a price not to exceed $65,694 each from Woodhouse Motors to be paid from the general funds.
Second.
Thank you, Cass. Jason's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Let's vote.
Shannon Moore,
Yes.
Jason Bauer,
Yes.
Cassie Clausen,
Yes.
Chase Carterville.
Yes.
Brian Locker,
Yes.
Steve Slagis.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Agenda item 9.4, discuss, consider, approve language addendum to 2025-2026 certificate of master agreement to clarify use of short-term disability and sick leave. So background on this, when we negotiated the master agreement last year, we included some short-term disability benefits policy in there to help out staff with certain things that popped up in life. And then in discussions, Dr. Lewis and Jen, I believe, and
2 members of the AEA.
2 members of the AA had, they just wanted to tweak it, just due to some change in the language with sick leave bank. So you're gonna see this attachment here. Dr. Lewis and I kind of talked about it. The most probably important sentence in this, to kind of give you an idea of what we're doing, is in that fifth paragraph, where it says sick leave bank days may not be requested at a 40% rate to cover time within the STD benefit payment window. Basically, what that means, and Dr. Lewis, please chime in if I'm incorrect here, is we are not allowing a staff member to ask for days to be donated from the sick leave bank to them while they're using that short-term disability.
Yeah.
To stack the two, basically. We're not allowing them to do that. So that's basically that change. That one sentence kind of explains it a little better than the rest of the language does. So this is agreed upon by the AEA and the staff up here, and then we'll also probably shortly talk about it in the upcoming negotiations.
We'll get the language changed in the actual master agreement. This is really just, when we looked at the policy and they started telling us how it could and couldn't be used, we knew we had to clarify some language in that master agreement so everyone understood. Because if they are taking sick time at 100% during that short-term disability period, because it's not an endless period, it's this long and then it rolls into long-term disability. If they have 6 days to cover that and that's how they want to take it, then they can't get a benefit, because it makes them ineligible. So we had to make sure how they were able to use short-term disability matched with the language that we said, here's how you take sick time combined with short-term disability. So, yeah, Chase is right, that's a really important one there. We're not going to be awarding sick leave bank days at a 40% rate. If they have their own time built up, and they can cover the other 40%, because the short-term disability pays 60% for that payment window. Short-term disability policy will allow us to let them take 40% of the days, so they're getting paid less from us and then their benefit anyway. It's confusing until you put everything all together and you sit down in a room, but the two members of the AEA, the president and the lead negotiator, understood how this works. And Jen and I are working on that. I feel like it's gonna be tricky because we're gonna have to change how we do things a little bit for those extended leaves, but we will figure it out and we're going to have an opportunity any day now. It's gonna happen, so.
Was it basically an accidental
Didn't you
double
have
dip kind of situation?
You could,
Not a double dip, Steve, I know what you're going with.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
She just had.
that's what short-term disability is saying, you can't double dip and get this benefit.
Right.
So if you're gonna take all of your sick time while you're within the short-term disability window, you can't have that short-term disability payment.
They're
So
taking one at a time.
this tells you how, it defines how sick time can be used and when the leaves can be requested from the sick leave bank. That's a little
The
bit
teachers
different.
are okay, administration's okay, we're all happy.
We're gonna find out.
And then we'll review it.
Well, we start negotiations in
Yeah, that's what I
October,
mean,
so
okay.
there you go, we'll get it all written into the agreement.
Okay,
This is on the sick leave bank.
right.
So they would have to request a day be given to them. And this is basically stipulating you can't request days from the sick leave bank to cover the 40% rate during that time.
Yes.
Can I make a request that we don't abbreviate short-term disability?
I know, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Just,
Sounds,
let's
why?
not, because let's not.
I don't understand, it seems fine to me.
Quit highlighting it, Mr. Kingston, you don't need to highlight it. Stop doing that.
all over.
I know,
Yeah.
that's what,
Do you know how hard it is to type short-term disability every time, as many
You can
times
do
as I
it.
have to type
you
it?
can do it.
All right, with that, I'm gonna make a motion to approve addendum to 2025-2026 certificated master agreement to clarify short-term disability leave combined with sick time and sick leave bank requests.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you, Steve. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Jason Art,
Yes.
Cassie Westman.
Yes.
Chase Brandaville,
Yes.
Brian Walker.
Yes.
Steve Slughead,
Yes.
Shannon Newman.
All right, motion carries. Agenda item 9.5, discuss, consider, take administrative action, to approve VoIP phone system. So obviously, now we can actually talk about this. And So Mr. Larson was here earlier. He presented 3 different options for us. I don't want to assume anything, but I think 2 more are standing out based upon the cloud services versus server-based. But does anybody have any questions here that the administration can throw a Hail Mary and try to answer for themselves?
I've listened to a lot of.
And you can designate to a
Probably
specific
right.
member if you'd
Yeah.
like to, of the administration to answer a technical question.
I can use
What I could tell you is that Hamilton and High Point are pretty close in pricing. They're within a couple $100 when you actually look at, what you're getting, with Dan being already familiar with the hardware and the software of Hamilton and, kind of the, just the customer service that we've received throughout this process. Dan and I would recommend that we go with Hamilton.
And I don't think it's a small thing, but I think it's a significant thing. It's a Nebraska-based business as well. Doesn't hurt.
Shannon, what were you saying, sorry?
It seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I think we
Uh,
go with the recommendation.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the voice over IP phone system from Hamilton to be paid from depreciation and or the QC PUF fund.
Yes.
I'll second.
Ooh.
Dang. Big chicks got me.
Okay.
It's been moved and
There's
seconded.
that competition.
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Cassie Fleisner.
Yes.
Chase Gradiville.
Yes.
Brian Mager.
Yes.
Steve Slagheis.
Yes.
Shannon Wilmark. Jason Mark.
Yes. All right, motion carries. Agenda 9.6, discuss, consider review policies 5201 to 5305. Dr. Lewis, I'll turn it over to you here for a little bit.
Yep, and these aren't due to any changes or anything like that. These are just in our regular review cycle. So these are ones that are all kind of within our student operations systems. We reviewed grading systems. We've got graduation, early completion plans. We've addressed those in the past couple of years with students with their applications and things like that. Ceremonies, these are some of these policies are very basic. Association activities. Student hazing, I believe, was updated by the legislature last year, maybe 2 years ago. There is that one on there about student dances again, and I'm not sure if it mentions in there that board members are welcome to chaperone student dances,
Required.
but they might.
I don't think it's so
Already gotta get it. Policy approved.
I was just trying to help you out. Mr. Mason. Anyway, other than the student records in FERPA, that one gets a little bit long, but the rest of them are pretty standard policies and no changes have been made.
I'll open it up just so they know, nothing was.
So that's just review. There's no action items that we have to take.
No, Not on that one.
So. Agenda item 9.7, discuss and consider policy 3132, internal controls on first reading. Dr. Lewis.
Yeah, on first reading, I believe we just first read it back in June as well. But we got a new interpretation from the federal government, and I left the red line on this version so you can see exactly what they added. It was on the last page, which is basically how you would need to document travel costs if you are using federal funds to pay for travel costs of individuals. It's also a new checkbox on my GMS application, which is the grant management system. So they want you to verify if there are travel expenses that you've turned in the right receipts and it's being spent on the right things and everything like that. So that's the addition. We're gonna read this one again in October because of the change. It's going to require 2 readings.
That's not anything they added on. They just changed the way they do the accounting.
I believe
They
they
wanted
changed
to-
the interpretation. We've never had to check that box about travel
Right.
expenses before. We're not a district that has expended any federal funds on travel costs, so it's not going to be an impact, but in some of your other districts, it might be.
Okay.
This is a federal thing that is happening in federally issued grants more and more on what you're spending it for. And travel is one of the big things that's popped up. So we're seeing it now at public school level.
Yeah.
So, but there's no action we have to take.
We'll read it again next
Yep.
week.
And then we'll be enacting. With that, we will adjourn at 8:36 PM.
Allow me to unplug your computer. Oh, I unplugged mine.